Hey everybody, welcome to Shark Scrapper Live, where we explore the world of scrapping and recycling and investing in the companies and the businesses that are surrounding this fantastic world we call scrapping and recycling. And we got some weird stuff to talk about today. So yeah, come on, let's dive in. It's great to have you here. Yeah, daylight savings time. How many? It caught up with a lot of folks, I think, because normally there would be a few more people sitting around waiting, right? Welcome, see you scrapping. Great to see you here. Nice junk. Great to see you here. And I don't even see Scrapping Irish up yet, so it's going to be interesting, right? We're going to see how many people got caught up by the daylight savings time shift. I got to admit, I was sitting here going through my notes and just, tweaking up a few things here and there. And then all of a sudden I realized, like, oh, wow, I got to get going. I forgot about this. Oh, man. So, hey, let me know. Make sure, let me know that the audio and the video is working okay. This is only the second time that I've used this camera and microphone arrangement. So please let me know for sure that everything is coming through okay. Because otherwise this would be really boring if you couldn't hear or see me. So I'm guessing that you can see me because Nice Junk said, nice to see you. AZ Megan, great to see you. Jose, great to see you. Thumbs up. All right, good. Awesome. Let me take a swig of coffee here just a second. So I had to change plans this week. I had originally thought that we would be talking about silver and aluminum this week, the white metals, right? But then Thursday, something happened that just threw it all up for the mix. So I decided that we would really focus on what happened with the bank closure on at the end of the week and what the impact has been, and just sort of chat about that some. So Robert, great to see you here. Nick Burns, awesome, great to see you here, man. So by the way, Nick, it was great to see you this last week. Always enjoy when you're down here. We had a real good time at the Shark Cage. Nick does this long distance motorcycle stuff, and so he dropped me a line and said, hey, I'm going to be in Jacksonville. Can we get together? So it was great to see Nick. Electronic Scrapper, welcome. Great to have you here. Gaz, great to see you. Copperbuck Recycling, awesome, man. Great to have you here, man. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about here is gold and silver, how they have reacted to the Silicon Valley Bank default. And then we're going to talk some more about the Silicon Valley Bank default and just sort of the banking in general, because a lot of times folks don't really completely understand how banks work. Now we're talking US banking system here, so I apologize for those of you that are elsewhere around the globe, but this is US banking. Now the reason why Silicon Valley Bank is important globally is because, well, they have a lot of global investors. We'll talk about that when we get more into it. All right, let's jump right over to the gold chart here. So once again, remember, I call up the APMEX website when I'm looking at gold and silver prices. There's a no drama element to working with APMEX. There's other places like this that you can buy and sell gold and silver from. Kitco is another one that we use them as well. When I do buy and sell silver and gold, APMEX and Kitco are the two places that I tend to go to. All right, so here we can see the 24-hour chart, and we can see that gold took this real nice. I'm going to try to avoid getting the big fat line, but we see the gold was sort of, tooling around, and then it took this jump, and we're at this plateau here, 1888. So in 24 hours, it had a 2% jump. if we look at the 3-day, what we expect to see here is, press the right buttons. We can see that that is even more pronounced. Gold's tooling along down here, and then all of a sudden we see a jump, and then we see this plateau, this higher level plateau. Well, that was primarily driven by the bank closure at Silicon Valley Bank. And then if we look at silver, and if we look at silver on the 3-day, a similar kind of pattern going on. Silver's tooling along. Silver always seems to have a little more volatility than gold, but then we get this spike, settles out, and plateaus. So what's happening here is that, and let's just dive right into what happened with the Silicon Valley Bank. On Wednesday, Silicon Valley Bank CEO announced that they needed to raise $2.5 billion or something like that to get back into their the range that they're supposed to be at for their reserve. That spooked a number of investors, and on Thursday there was just a good old-fashioned run on the bank. People lining up down the streets and withdrawing their money from SVP to the tune of $4 billion. Think about that. You know, in a day, actually less than a day, $4 billion is getting pulled out of this bank. So the FDIC jumps in and shuts the bank down on Friday, and now the bank is in what's called receivership. Technically, the bank was not broken. They hadn't done anything wrong. There was no malfeasance going on. What they had, like many banks and peoples and institutions, they had made some investments, and as interest rates were rising, when they sold some of that stuff, they actually sold for a loss. And so they were working to get back into the balance sheet that they're supposed to be maintaining. And then that scared people. And so there was a run on the bank. Grandpa Kevin, Cruiser Mac, great to see you here. Welcome. Board Sword, welcome. Don't know where Mike is. We'll see. Robert, have you ever considered metal detector for a video? We'll see. We'll talk about other things here, but yeah, no, I haven't done that. Okay, so back to SVP. So there's this run on the bank, and the FDIC steps in and shuts down the bank. Now, what that means is that anybody that had deposits that were under $250,000, those are insured by the FDIC. So, oh, Mike's here too. So they will get their money back. The FDIC insures that money, they'll get their money. Deposits that were not insured, so we're talking about over $250,000 for the most part, that money is in receivership, and the FDIC will decide how that's going to play out. So maybe somebody buys SVP, and a bunch of venture capital firms that were big into using SVP have already signed, I think 300 of them signed a letter basically saying, we'll keep working with SVP if somebody comes in and buys them and they're properly capitalized. So the money that's over and above what was FDIC insured is in receivership. Now, if the bank gets bought up by another bank, you know, life goes on. There are some hiccups, but life goes on. If not, then the FDIC then starts to dole out to people based on priority lists that are established for that kind of money. But here's how this can affect people like us, like, you know, everyday people. If you buy or sell on Etsy, well, it's impacting you. Not so much if you buy stuff on Etsy, but the sellers on Etsy, many of them are getting their payments delayed because the transactions in many cases were going through SVP. SVP was a bank that specialized in techs and tech startups and those kind of things. Etsy being one of the companies that worked a lot with SVP. So there's a lot of Etsy sellers right now that are very nervous because they're not getting paid right away. And they'll eventually get paid. Etsy is figuring out, is moving some things over to some other banks and stuff like that. So, the sellers will eventually get paid, but it could be a few days before some Etsy sellers get paid. So this is how these banking things can impact, operators like you and I, just, regular folks that think we're doing business the right way. So, hey, JR Cat, great to hear. Great to hear. Yeah, I know the time zone change kind of got some folks messed up a little bit. No worries, man. So, and banking. Yeah. So let's look at this. Wannabe Scrapper says, banking is complicated. I try to stay away from the complicated things. All right. So let's just chat about banking a little bit. We think, and this is U.S., the laws regarding U.S. banks. So a lot of people think that when they put their money in the bank, they put in $1,000 and $1,000 is sitting somewhere for that bank to pay me out whenever I want it. Well, what the bank is allowed to do, it's called fractional banking. So what the bank is allowed to do is they're allowed to take a portion of the money that you put in the bank and use that to make loans. They make those loans at higher interest rates than what they're paying you, so the bank can make more money. That money that the bank makes covers the cost to operate the bank, the cost to protect your money, and provides profits that some banks will pay out as dividends to their shareholders, or others can reinvest. Now, the FDIC, and we've had a number of cases where banks got in over their heads, and it could get ugly. And so various laws have come about as a result of certain financial meltdowns. Many of us have lived through what happened in 2008. So the FDIC puts certain burdens on the banks, right? One of them is that they have to maintain, any bank that has over $1 billion in assets has to maintain 4.5% reserve. Okay, so that's a test that the FDIC runs periodically, and that's so that the bank doesn't get overextended in how much they're loaning out. Now, the FDIC also will do stress tests for the banks for another 2.5% or so. That's so that if there are challenges, that the FDIC has reasonable assurance that bank still has enough money. And if it's a globally important bank, they add on another 1% to that stress test. Now, again, everything that I have seen in the news suggests that SVP wasn't doing anything wrong. They didn't break any rules. They just got on the wrong side of of public opinion, if you will. The CEO said we need to raise a couple $1 billion to get us to shore up our accounts. People got scared, and there was a run on the bank. So you kind of wonder, well, what if the CEO hadn't made a statement like that? I don't know. That's speculation. But this is a big deal because SVP was the 16th largest bank in the U.S. They had a number of international kind of accounts and companies with them. Folks like we talked about, Etsy, were doing business with them. So, there's this great concern that there's this weakness going on in the banking system right now. Will we see a run on additional banks, come Monday when things open up? I sure hope not. But crowds can be stupid, right? Individually, we tend to be rather intelligent as humans, but in a crowd, things can get really ugly, right? So hopefully we won't see any more runs on any more banks. Certainly the larger banks are probably doing fine. Mid-tier type banks are probably taking a look this weekend. I wouldn't want to be working at a bank, any bank, right now, because they probably spent the entire weekend going through their books and figuring out what's going on, and they're all like really nervous for what's going to happen on Monday. I'm not worried. I'm not going to go take out any of my deposits. First of all, I don't have that much money in banks. It's not like I'm some super wealthy person that has millions of dollars in the bank. So, if you have money in a bank somewhere and it's under $250,000, you don't have to worry. The FDIC has assured that bank, so you're going to be okay. All right. So Irish, we're an hour early because we changed time zones over here, daylight savings time. And don't worry, you're not the only one that was taken by surprise. A lot of us were, myself included. I mean, I knew it happened, right? But I kind of wasn't paying attention. And about a half hour before the show, I just happened to notice what time it was. So let's see. JR Cat, I stopped in Friday and took out $5,000. They weren't happy about giving it out. Well, JR Cat, why did you take it out? What motivated? Did you need the $5,000 for something, or why were you taking it out? I'm just curious. You don't have to tell us. I don't want to pry or anything, but yeah, just if you want to share with us why you took it out, I'd be curious to know why you did that. Wannabe Scrapper, I know we don't have daylight savings time here, so my day shot. Yeah, it's kind of it happens in some places, not in others. So yeah, it kind of I just wish that here in the United States we would make a decision. We're either all going to do daylight savings time or we're not going to do daylight savings time. Just let's make a decision, for goodness sake. Because when some states do it and some states don't, it just gets really confusing, right? So I just wish we would all just make a decision. Let's see. Electronic Shark keeps all his millions in cash in a secret room behind his bookshelf. You mean like that bookshelf back there? No, actually, that's an exterior wall. So the other side of that wall is the outside. Yeah, I wish, Electronic Scrapper, I wish I had so much cash that I had to keep it in a secret location. Wait a minute, secret location? We know somebody who has a secret location with probably millions of dollars of gold-bearing material hidden in it, don't we? Scrapping Irish. So you're doing 2 hours, or will I bring my live forward by an hour because we don't want to change time till... Oh man. Yeah, we didn't. I was only planning on doing an hour, man. I only, I could drag it out. I can try to drag it out for a while if you want me to. But we can also, there can also just be a break between the two shows, right? When I'm going to leave that up to you. You start whenever you want to start your show. It's your show, man, right? You start your show, and we'll see how this goes. If I wrap up and there's a gap between our two shows, that's cool. Okay. So just let us know here what you want to do. For those of you that don't know, Scrapping Irish and I sort of, when I decided to start doing my live streams, I reached out to Scrapping Irish and, I said, hey man, I don't want to interfere with your schedule. I think it'd be really good for our viewers. It could be a lot of fun if I go just before you, and then I can do the redirect, the automatic handoff to you. And that way our viewers can just, flow right from one end to the other. And so that's what we've been trying to do. But this, Scrapping Irish and I didn't plan out ahead of time what we were going to do here. So Irish said he's going to jump forward by 1 hour. Okay, cool. Sounds good, man. let me know when you're ready, when we get near the end of things, and we'll make it happen. I don't have the redirect up yet, so um, we'll figure that one out. So back to the banks. So you got the banks, and you're giving them money, right? And they're paying you a little bit of interest, and then they're taking a large portion of that money, and they're loaning it out to other people, and they're loaning it out for more interest than what you're getting paid. They use the difference to pay their bills and make a little profit that they can either pay out as dividends or to preserve their structure moving forward in case they have to pay out large sums of money. This is the way money works, right? That's how you got to keep money moving. You've probably heard people refer to the speed of money, keeping money moving. Money really only has value if it's moving, to allow people to buy products, to trade products. So that's why banks do this. That's why governments support banks doing this. And of course, the balancing game is you can't, as a government, you can't allow your banks to loan out so much money that they're not able to pay back when people want their money back. And the game that the FDIC plays here in the United States is constantly monitoring that, trying to keep things in check and making sure that banks don't get themselves overextended. And then, of course, we as the people that are putting our money in these banks, we've just got to we got to think about it too, right? Banks are by far the safest place to put your money. Your house can get robbed, your secret location can get robbed. You're not going to get it back if somebody robs you. You're not going to earn any interest if it's sitting in underneath your bed, or in a hole out in the backyard. And cash, by the nature of cash, loses money when it's just sitting around because you have the normal inflation that goes on. And so if you're not making at least around 4% on your money, it's going backwards. Now, gold, silver, those kind of things, people like to hold some of their cash, some of their finances in gold and silver because over time it will go up in value, right? And we can see that right here. Here, let's go back over to our gold chart, and we can see that if we go back here with as far back as APMEX tracks gold, so back to the mid 1990s, 1992, and you can see that gold has increased in value by 475% over that time period. So if you just took a straight line, your money, the value that gold represents would have gone up by 475%. Now, of course, that means that you have to have the stomach to accept volatility. So when we see things like this go on, this can spook a lot of investors. And then this kind of stuff makes investors happy, right? So gold and correspondingly silver are not without their risks either, but they are a good place to park some of your capital. Now, the challenge becomes, okay, so gold is worth $1,888. Well, how are you going to get your money out of that gold? You still have to sell it to someone who's willing to pay you that money. That's why cash has a different approach because, cash is liquid, right? You could take a dollar bill down to the store and buy a dollar's worth of stuff. Yeah, it's not going to be worth $1 a year from now or 10 years from now, but it's liquid. Whereas with gold and silver, you have to sell it to get your money back. So it's those kind of challenges that we all balance when we are trying to decide what we're going to do with the money that we're going to keep and save. All right, so let's see here. Gaz, personally shift cash, bonds, stocks, etc. once every 4 months. It takes a couple of days, but ensures I get the best value I possibly can. Okay, all right, cool. I like that when people have, a plan, right? A plan, and they stick to their plan. That is a great way to do your investing. I follow a plan for my investments, and over the long term, I do okay. Now, it could require some discipline to stick to that plan, but overall, it should be fine as long as your plan is based in some sense of reality. Let's see here. Wannabe Scrapper, I have that Wealth Simple app. Just tell me what to buy. I'm not going to say yes or no. It's not my place to judge those. I have no idea how well that app does, what the truth of that app is. I don't use those kind of apps, as you can tell from this live stream, right? I do a certain amount of research myself on the things that I'm going to invest in. That's one of the things that a lot of people say is that investing in stocks and bonds is like gambling. Well, it is if you don't know what you're doing. If you spend a little time researching it, get a little smarter and those kind of things, then it's less of a gamble and more of an educated risk decision. All right, so let's see, what other comments do we have relative to that? But if you held on to a dollar bill since 1992, it's still worth $1 in today's money. Well, $1 in today's money, but the actual value of that dollar, what you could buy for $1 back in 1992, you can no longer buy for $1 in 2023. So yes, it's still a $1 bill. It's still worth $1. But if you look at what you could buy for $1 in 1992 versus what you can buy for $1 today, they're very different things. All right, so let's use that as our lead-in for our safety tip for the day. And this is going to be a little bit different than what we're used to talking about. But the safety tip for the day that I'm going to give, as motivated by the SVP Bank, is to put your money in a safe bank. Now, what's a safe bank? For the average citizen in the United States, any bank that is FDIC insured, and they have to tell you if they are FDIC insured or not, but any bank that is FDIC insured is a safe place to put your money because any account up to $250,000 is insured. That means that if something happens to that bank, the FDIC will give you the value of your deposits. Now, if you have over $250,000, for those people like Ian Matthews that are making millions of dollars in YouTube ad revenue, I'm joking, by the way, folks. I don't think Ian makes millions of dollars in ad revenue. I'm just picking on him. But if you have over $250,000 in any account at a bank, then you want to look at moving it to other banks. Because that way, if one bank goes down, you don't lose everything. So put your money in a FDIC insured bank account. And remember, last week we talked about the importance of separating your personal banking from your business banking. And you still want your business banking to be in an FDIC insured account as well, because you don't want your business to lose all of their money. Now, this is where big companies can run into some trouble because they generally tend to have more than $250,000, right? So if any of you are a company yourself that has over $250,000, let's talk offline because that's a special consideration to have. Oh, man. Yeah, Urban Prospector, absolutely true, man. As long as there's inflation, the dollar purchasing power will always go down. That's the nature of inflation. it's one of these weird things too, that a lot of people say inflation is bad, but there's a reason why inflation exists. Inflation exists because people are making enough money that it's raising the cost of goods. So that's why here in the United States, we try to maintain about a 2% inflation rate. Now, the federal bank program tries to balance in jobs and inflation, and they have different targets that they're trying to balance. And it's a very difficult thing, as we are experiencing right now in our lives. So inflation is bad, right? It means that it's hard for us things get more expensive over time. But at the same time, inflation is good because it means that people are making more money. So yeah, there's this weird challenge that goes on with inflation. And we just have to keep, paying attention to it and working ourselves through it. Hey, Miss Canadian Scrapper, welcome to the live stream. Great to have you here. I think, JCT, I don't think I said hello to you yet either. So welcome, and Urban Scrapper, welcome. All right, so safety tip, put your money in the bank, or put some of your money in the bank. And for those of you that are really rich and you have over $250,000 in one bank, consider moving it to multiple banks so that you've got it well protected. All righty then. It is time to move on to stocks. And our stock report for this week is going to be a very interesting set of companies. We have to wait a minute. I'm looking for the. Hang on just a second. I got like a lot of you, I got caught up in the whole time thing here. And so I kind of lost track of so when I got caught up in the time zone change, I made a mistake with my files. And so I do apologize here. I know I'm kind of fluttering about here because I am trying to find the file that I had that should have been up and ready to go and wasn't. And so that's my bad, but here we are. We're back in the game here now. So the first company that we're going to talk about, and all of us that are involved in electronic scrapping and e-waste, we know this company well. We talk about them a lot. CISCO Systems Incorporated. We love taking CISCO stuff apart, right? I mean, have you ever seen E-Waste Ben when he finds a CISCO system? He loves those things, right? He just gets really excited by them. So CISCO Systems, their yield is 3.2%. Now they have been as high as here we go. They have been as high as 5-ish%. 5.5 or so. So, they'll be making some adjustments, and that's on a value of $48.73. So their stock prices are not terribly outrageous. Now, what is interesting is that they are not qualified by cash flow per share because they had these 2 negative years, but they are qualified by earnings per share. And I think that this is the first company that we've looked at that was qualified on an earnings per share basis. They had this one down year, but remember, we allow a down year or a flat year in our evaluation. So that means that for the last 17 years, they raised their earnings per share every year except one. So they are an E1. Now, they are not qualified by dividends, which is what we are mostly concerned about, because they didn't start paying dividends until 2011. So they're technically not qualified. But when they did start paying their dividends in 2011, they have gone up every year since they started paying their dividends. So we can take a quick look at what that looks like here. So you can see that the dividends flat up to here, and then they go up every year, and then here's their earnings and their cash flow. And then if you look at the changes from year to year, and wow, I got to figure out why that happened. That's weird. Huh. Haven't seen that before. I got to go in and figure out what my spreadsheet's doing there. But what you can see is that their earnings only had, their earnings being the green bar was down just the one time, but the blue bar, their cash flow was down on 2 years. All right, and then the other company that we frequently see stuff from when we're tearing things apart, I know that many people have seen components from Qualcomm. So Qualcomm is another one of those stocks that we frequently tear their stuff apart. Now, there I went with the great big bar again. Come on, let's get down here. So Qualcomm 2.4% for their dividend, but holy cow, that's on $123.42. That's pretty steep investment going in there. That's some pretty good money to get per share on that one, man. So that's going to cause people some heartache, I'm sure. Now we can see that they are not qualified on cash flow or dividends. You can see they have multiple years on cash flow or earnings per share, excuse me. So they're not qualified there, but they are qualified on dividends because they have always increased their dividends per share for the last 17 years. So Qualcomm is qualified, but that dividend rate isn't really fantastic. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have any money in Qualcomm. I don't have any plans to buy Qualcomm, even though they are technically qualified. And here's what that looks like graphically. So you can see they're sort of tooling along here. And then 2020, there's a pop. And well, we know why that's happened, right? The world is opening up. They got to have chips, got to have chips, got to have chips. So of course, you know, there's a lot of money, people buying up chip stock, the chips and the chip stocks and stuff like that. So that's when this bounce occurs. And there's a little bit of adjustment going on. So this kind of stuff we expect to see happen. And then there's the year to year. Now, what's always fun to do is to look at the two side by side. So here we look at cash flow per share for Cisco and Qualcomm. Cisco is this goldish line and Qualcomm is this dark blue line. And so you can see that where Cisco's cash flow per share did not have that post-COVID bounce, Qualcomm did have a nice big post-COVID bounce. On the earnings per share, same thing going on between the two companies. And then for the dividends per share, we see that this is the payout between the two companies. So, you know, if I was going to be making a decision on where I wanted to put some money, even though you look at this and you say, well, you're going to make more money with Qualcomm, not really, because the dividend, that's a 2% dividend on $100 and some odd share price, right? So maybe the smarter money is to go in with CISCO. However, we are going to talk about another company at some point in the future that is also very much in our space. And I'm going to hold off telling you what the name of that company is for a little bit because, well, I got a comment from one of you, and I'm going to show that comment here in the not too distant future in this live stream. And it was a very good comment and well worth the discussion point. So, in fact, you know what? Let's just jump right over to that comment right now. Here, wait a minute. Let's do this, and then let's do this, and I want to see if I want to see where I put that comment real quick. There we go. So I got this comment from Urban Prospector 3 days ago. Now this was in response to the last week's stream. And Urban Prospector says things to think about before upgrading the vehicle. How often will it be used? Cost of the vehicle, insurance, etc. If you only need it once every 3 to 4 months, he prefers to rent something. And as far as stocks go, check out Intel. Also remember, down year in cash flow doesn't mean they lost money. They may have acquired a computer or dumped a large amount into R&D. Yeah, just all very good points. Very good points, Urban Prospector. So I wanted to talk about that because Intel is one of the companies that we're going to analyze. And I will kind of give you a little bit of a spoiler. They are qualified to be on our list for consideration. So we do want to look at Intel. I'm just waiting to get some updated information from Value Line. Now, remember, when I do these stock discussions, I'm basing it off of the Value Line investment survey. They do not take any advertising. So all of their information is pure data and data driven, in that their analysts look at the data, look at what's going on in the markets, and try to help you understand what the data is telling you. But there's no bias as a result of seeking advertiser dollars. So I put a lot of trust and faith in the information that I get from the investment survey. They should be putting out an update on Intel here in the next few weeks. And when they do, I will definitely discuss Intel, because I know it's a huge issue. It's a huge stock for us to consider, and they're worth looking at. So, okay, now I want to talk about a couple more things here. We've got as some of you saw in a recent video that I did, we now have a new shark research organization that we're working with. So this is the group that we are now working with. It's called Atlantic Shark Expeditions. Now, what happened here was Dr. Hammerschlag, who was running the shark research and conservation program at the University of Florida, became very frustrated with the bureaucracy of a big university. Now, I'm not throwing any shade at the University of Florida. Good institution, lots of good education goes on there. And whenever you get a big company or big organization of any sort, bureaucracy happens. So that's, again, no shade on the University of Miami. But Dr. Hammerschlag wanted to have more flexibility in the way that he approached what he was doing for shark research and helping people learn about sharks as well as conducting the research. So he got together with some folks. They've started the Atlantic Shark Expeditions. The way this works primarily for them is that they will, by the way, if you want to join their newsletter, it's easy right there. But the way this works is they have these expeditions, and you can go swim with the sharks. Now, one of the groups that they're partnering with is the group that I went shark diving with in Jupiter, Florida. So what would happen is you would go on this expedition, you'd go down there and you'd have 3 days and 2 nights, and it'd be a combination of education and experience. You don't have to be a scuba diver. So the Jupiter, Florida stuff is snorkeling stuff. The tiger shark down in the Bahamas, I think that's all on scuba. And then the great white shark off Nova Scotia, you don't even have to get in the water if you don't want to. You know, it's understandable that you may not want to get in the water with them. By the way, they will be in cages. You will be in cages, not the sharks. So it's sort of the other way around. But what's really cool about this is that the tag that we're going to purchase is going to go on one of the first sharks that they are going to tag off Nova Scotia. So that's going to be really interesting. I don't know yet if I'm going to be going out on that expedition to tag that great white shark. Dr. Hammerschlag and I are still working on how that's going to work out. Just wanted to show that to everybody, let you know that this is the group that we're working with. You know, at some point I'm going to do a big 3 for 23, you know, announcement but I still put the money aside to support the tagging. It's still, you know, we're still collecting up that money to help support tagging. It's just that we have a new group that we will be working with this year. How many of you would think about doing something like that? You know, get in the water with the sharks. Because you know what could be kind of fun, right? Is like the Jupiter expedition where you don't have to be scuba qualified. Maybe some of us get together and go out on that together. It'd be like a shark scrapper shark expedition, and we could all get in the water and see sharks together or something like that. You know, I could work with Dr. Hammerschlag to put something together if enough of you are interested in doing something like that. The Great White Shark Expedition is another one where we could, if there was enough people interested, we could do that too, because you don't have to get in the water. So we don't have to go over that hurdle of being scuba qualified in order to have everybody go out on the boat and see the great whites and that kind of stuff, and learn a lot about these sharks too. So I wonder how many of you would be interested in doing something like that, you know, with the sharks. You don't have to answer right away if you don't want to. You know, drop me an email, sharkscrapper@gmail.com. I think it'd be a lot of fun. So let's see. Cruiser Max says sleeps with the fishes. Not yeah. All right. Scrapping Iris says not a hope of getting me in the water with a shark. Oh man. Yeah. All right. Bush Dog says, I got to find myself a way to, maybe he means now I got to find my way to Florida. Which, okay. Yeah, I get it. So, yeah, you know, it's it really is fascinating to be in the water with the sharks, and when you're doing it with the snorkeling, it's a little bit weird at first, a little bit unsettling, but if you know sharks and you get a little more comfortable, then it's really not that bad a thing. Let's see, Cruiser Mac, I would be interested in putting some life insurance. Trust me, before I went on that last shark drive, my wife did make sure that my life insurance was paid up. She was still a little bit nervous as well. And she's also made the comment to me that if I want to get in the cage with the great white sharks, I'm going to have to double my life insurance. Jose says he's done it 8 times in the lower Keys. Fantastic, man. That's awesome. Yeah. You know, most people don't realize that whenever they're in the ocean, there's probably a shark near them. A lot of people just don't realize that. And so you might as well be in a situation where you can see the sharks that are around you. It does make it quite a bit more interesting. Okay, so we're going to shift now. It is time for our discussion of YouTube related things. I know that many of you here are creators. And if you're not a creator, you are a consumer of much of what is out there on YouTube. A while back, YouTube updated their inappropriate language policies. And this created quite a bit of a stir because when they first did the update, they came out and they said that all inappropriate language would be treated the same. And they were going to go back and review all the channels, and they were going to flag you if you were using inappropriate language. And you may not get advertising put on your videos. Now, that was driven a lot by the advertisers wanting to have advertiser-friendly content. And of course, you know, people don't want a whole lot of swearing and cussing and things like that, and then have their ads on there if that's not what, you know, that they feel is appropriate. So, but here's what happened. YouTube got a flood of feedback from creators who were going in either through the YouTube help pages or the YouTube Twitter feed or through a guy named Rene Ritchie, who is the creator liaison guy at YouTube. He used to have he used to be a creator or channel maker, and now he's he represents us creators to YouTube management. And so they got the hint. Okay, they said, okay, wait a minute, maybe things were that maybe our language sounded a little more restrictive than what they intended. So they have made an update, and I want to share that with you. This is relatively new update here. And I think we'll do this one for this. All right, so they have decided that they're not going to treat all language as the same. They are, how about if let's not use that great big, but I use this thing a lot and I still screw it up sometimes. All right, so add guidance. This content can earn ad revenue. All right, so what that means is you're still going to get all the ads normally put on this. Abbreviated or censored profanity or words like hell or damn in the site, the thumbnail, or the video. Moderate profanity. I'm not going to say the words. They're there for you to read. Can be used frequently in the video. E-Waste Mike is so happy right now. And most profanity used within music or stand-up comedy. So, you know, there's a lot of comedians that, you know, use foul language and music and stuff. Plus, if you have some music in your background or in your intro or your outro that uses profanity, that's going to be all right as well. So mild cussing is going to be okay. And that's probably some of you are out there going, oh man, all right, because you were going to have a real hard time censoring yourself. Now let's scroll up though, and let's take a look at this content may be limited. So this is the next level. All right. And what that means is that they might limit the ads or they may not put any ads at all. So there may be some advertisers who tell YouTube it's okay to put this on people that use stronger language. Other advertisers will say we don't want to be on any videos that use strong language. And this comes down to the F-bomb. All right. So, and I don't know what would be if there's other stuff. Well, there are other words that are considered worse than the F-bomb or as bad as the F-bomb. And there's a list of the language on the YouTube help page that you can look at. I'm not going to show it just because. So essentially, if you use the F-bomb a lot, then you're going to have trouble with monetization. All right. It doesn't mean that they're going to shut down your channel. Now they still have they can still do that, but they'll warn you if they're going to shut your channel down for inappropriate language, but you are going to have some trouble getting monetized. And then the same as with using the F-bomb throughout the video, which is you'll get no ad revenue at all if you're using the F-bomb in the thumbnails or the titles and throughout the video. So it's not as bad as what they originally had planned to put out there. It's trying to run that balance between what people don't want to hear. So, what some people find offensive, what other people just consider a normal part of their vocabulary. And let's face it, sometimes scrappers can be a pretty rough crowd. I think it was funny. One of my videos a while back, I don't know, 9 months ago or something like that, I was at the shred pile unloading, and one of the guys that I know, another scrapper here in the area, a guy named Andrew, and oh my God, that guy can cuss. That guy can cuss worse than a sailor. And he was out there and I'm recording while I'm unloading, and it's like every other word out of his mouth was an F-bomb. And so when I censored the video to put it up, it's that whole section of the unload was beep, 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 beep. This stuff, beep, beep, beep. I can't believe beep, beep, beep. It might as well just been one long beep. So anyway, if if you're ever curious about this kind of stuff, it's pretty easy to find the information that you want to find about Google and YouTube. You can go right here to their help page. It's www.support.google.com/, and then you click on the YouTube and you'll get all this information. There's all these topics about YouTube, how to fix things, how to watch videos, how to manage your accounts, things about YouTube Premium, how to create and grow. It's just a ton of information here. And if you hear things that you're not quite sure of and you want to check on stuff, this is a great place to go to check it all out and get the truth from the YouTube people themselves, and not necessarily the creators or the talking heads that are out there just vying for your attention on YouTube. Because let's face it, sometimes some of these folks come up on YouTube, and they're going to say, oh my God, YouTube's new policy is going to end monetization for everybody. It's not really that bad. So Loeffler, welcome. Great to see you here, John. Great to see you here. John Butler, hello from New Jersey. Hey, John, great to see you. I'm sorry. I just saw this comment. What if you can lip read? Yeah. I don't know. You know what? I don't know if that, I would think that doesn't count, because I don't know that the algorithm can lip read. And so I would say that, as long as you can't hear the words, it's probably okay. Bush Dog, I agree 100%. Nick Nimmin has a great information channel for us creators. 100%, man. I agree 100%. I'm subscribed to Nick Nimmin every Saturday morning. Most Saturday mornings, 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern Daylight Savings Time here in the U.S. is when Nick comes up. Nick Nimmin's channel has got a ton of great information. So you creators out there, if you want to keep up on what's going on in the world of content creation, Nick Nimmin's channel is the place to be. I mean, it's fantastic. Scrapping Irish, let me know are you ready to if you're ready to for me to shut down and send everybody over there. I don't know. Scrapping Irish might be getting his channel, might be getting his live stream up and running. I'll give him a minute to get back to us. In the meantime, do you have any questions or thoughts here about anything that we've covered today while we're waiting for Scrapping Irish to let me know that he is up and running and ready to go? Here, I'm going to bring this up while I am waiting for comments. I'm looking to see when his live stream shows up as ready to go. Okay. Scrapping Irish is ready to go. So, we're going to head on over there now. Again, I apologize. I did not get the redirect set up to take us immediately over there like we would normally do. So if you have, so when I end this stream, you're going to have to go click on Scrapping Irish's live stream to go over there. I do apologize for that. Daylight savings time played a little bit of trouble with us here. So I will see you all over on Scrapping Irish's channel. Have a great day, everybody.